What is up, everybody, and welcome back. Guys, I'm back. I know, you missed me. I understand that. I understand. Like, I'm like a son that you never wanted, but you need in your life. You know, you need me in your life to complete the whole package of, like, the Star Wars family that you have going on. I'm always back with special guests, guys. Today, don't be scared. This is, like, for children, too. I know it's a drunk Wookiee. I know, but, like, it's okay. We're here. He's here.
Drunk Wookiees can be sober too.
Yes, yes. He doesn't have to be drinking all day long like some people do in the world, but he doesn't. He's Ryan. He doesn't do that. Don't worry, Ryan. No one's gonna hate on you, buddy. I got you, man. I got you. But we have the Drunk Wookiee on the Tonight Show with us today, guys. Before we start chatting with him, be sure to subscribe down below to the YouTube channel, The Scevoli Show, for more awesomeness and me, not Drunk Wookiee. Me. He's not gonna be here all day. I'm gonna be here in your faces. Here I am.
Well said, Mr. Tano.
Thank you. Now I can go home. Goodbye, guys.
It was a great show. Great show.
Great
Thanks
show.
for having me.
Good job, Ryan. You did such a great job today. We love it. Well, my friend, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. It's just, it's a nice rainy day here in St. Louis, and I'm just hanging out.
There you go. We're just hanging out. And, guys, it's his first ever Face podcast.
It is.
Like exclusiveness right here, the Drunk Wookiee exclusiveness.
Well, let me clarify one thing. The previous guy who ran Drunk Wookiee before I took over has been on a podcast. He looks different than me. He's a great guy. I still talk to him. He texted me earlier today. But so if you see that Drunk Wookiee has been on a podcast and looks like a completely different guy, you're not, it's not a Shazam situation where, there's two realities. This is my first Star Wars.
But we wish
face reveal
but this
podcast.
is the reality of now.
This is the reality of now. Yeah. As of today, this is the first one.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted. But Ryan, I have to ask, the first question has to be, why do you call yourself the Drunk Wookiee? And I know you had another partner, so that maybe two partnerships.
To be honest with you, I listen. He came up with the name before I was involved, so I'm not called the Drunk Wookiee. I do know that Wookiee is spelled incorrectly on purpose. I get I don't know if harassed or hazed or a lot of people act like I'm dumb. I understand that it's spelled IEE, but it's spelled in a specific way. The guy who used to run the website is, again, a fantastic guy as a lawyer, so he wanted to make sure that there were no copyright issues, which I don't think it would have been an issue. And then he also likes beers. So I think that is what it is. And I kept it that way because I just think it's great. And it stands out from all the other names that are, very similar to everyone else.
It does. I think the Drunk Wookiee is like, oh, what's the Drunk Wookiee about? Like, what is that? Like, what's mysterious behind that? And I know because when I was setting up, I was like, is his Wookiee spelled I-E-E? Or is it's spelled with a Y? And I was like, you know what? No hate on this show. So all the haters out there hating on my friend Ryan, come see me. Come in my DMs to talk to me about it.
Yeah, guys, chill out. I know what it is. I actually had to put it in my bio because people would be like, I can't trust this guy.
Who is this guy?
And you know how it is with stuff like Star Wars or any big IP. There are people so into it. If you mess up one thing, people jump on you like you're a fake fan.
Oh yeah, no one has. And you say the names, some Star Wars names. Let's talk about Star Wars names for a minute.
Okay.
They're not the easiest thing in the world to name. Why can't you just name them Philip or the Rose? They name flowers like the Trichoconomus Tyrannosaurus Rex. How are we gonna say that name?
Why can't we get a Darth Steve?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. But I mean and even within the authors, they sometimes mess it up. So with the High Republic, there's Markion and Marcion Row. That even the voice actor was saying it for a while until he got corrected. So it's not just us.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce, and then I do my reactions with the Bad Batch and other shows and stuff like that. And I'm like, what was that planet called? I was like, they were on that planet before. I was like, I can't say that planet, but I'm going to tell you guys the planet before we saw that in animation or live action, because I just don't know how to pronounce any of these Star Wars terms because they're not I feel like Star Wars takes two words and takes it together, flips it, and then makes a word out of it. I'm like, this is not Jeopardy. We can't figure this out.
Dude, well, and seriously, talking about planets, as someone who I feel like I know a lot about Star Wars, I write about Star Wars, I talk about it all the time. The amount of people that can remember every planet and every reference of a planet blows my mind. Like those people out there, like the lore experts, are wild. Like especially on Twitter, I see them all the time. There are people that are like, "Oh, they mentioned this planet like in in Arbesh over here, and that's this," and they like, and it's like 15 seconds after it happens, and they'll like have this whole lore about it, and from a book from the 90s or something. That it just blows my mind that they can.
And even with, I don't know if you saw, but when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show came out, it had all people's names like on the wall when Obi-Wan goes to the secret, and it said Quinlan. Of course, we know Quinlan Voss, but then other Jedi's names, and then people started to like people have nothing to do. I feel like with their lives. And they
man, don't say that because I was one of them. I on drunkWookie.com, like I put together like all the Arbesh translations at like 6 a.m. And,
so now I'm going to ask you, what are those names now? I have to ask.
Okay. There is oh my gosh. Let me think of the names. Well, first up, Doom was on it, so like I just assumed it would be Kanan, like Caleb Doom. There was, oh my gosh, I'm gonna draw. There's like Roganda Ismarin or Ismarin Roganda. I can't remember. She's like a former like concubine of Palpatine. This is from Legends, and they had they had a child together, and then she tried to overthrow the current empire with this with her kid. There's Roganda Ismarin. There is damn, I had them. There's a lot. There's one of them that was just a reference to somebody from a like a tabletop game, like D&D with Star Wars, like role playing game. There was people from that were just in there. There was a lot, and there's a lot of them that were just initials too. One of them said "For Light and Life," which is the High Republic saying. It said on there, and "Trust in the Force." There's a lot of that. Man, what is the other ones though? I'll think of them, but there's a lot. I was up seriously like 6 a.m. telling my kids to get ready.
How do you figure that out? Do you what do you do? Because I'm curious, because I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know how to bring Ambash with like English words. So I don't know how to do that.
There's websites. So there's like an Aurebesh. If you just Google Aurebesh like translator, there are websites. So what I did is I just took at the time I was watching it on my TV. So I actually just took pictures with my phone of my TV and then looked at my phone, but you can just take screenshots of from your computer. But then you go in there and you type. You try to type it out. Now, the problem with that is it was blurry and they're carved, and so they look horrible. But so that took a little bit of time. Somebody would be like, well, it's either this or this, but this one kind of makes more sense. So I'm going to go with that.
Oh, okay. I got to really look into that now. I got to look up Ambash now websites.
Yeah. I'm trying to find. So here we go. I'm opening up the post I wrote. See what else is on there. So there's Caleb Doom. There's Jen Altis, who I don't really know who that is. There's a lot of there's Roganda Ismarin, which I said. Oh, this is the interesting one. Is like Hal Horn or like Valen Halcyon. So he's a Jedi that survived Order 66 in Legends, and then he went to. I'm gonna mess some of this up. So if anyone wants to bash him in the comments, that's totally fine. But he is Corran Horn's father. So Corran Horn is a big Jedi in Legends from like the New Republic era. He was like a police officer on Corellia. Then but he's Force sensitive, and he ends up becoming friends with Luke in the New Republic Navy, and then ends up becoming a Jedi. Which is interesting enough. The kid in Kenobi, the little kid that Kumail's character, I can't think of the character's name, but like Kumail Najani, I think his last name is. Either way, the mom and the little kid that he kind of tricks and like takes charges before to get them to safety. In the credits is Corran Horn, and the mom is like
his mom
is Hal Horn's wife, who's carved on this wall.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which I honestly I think is great that they did.
Yeah,
because I've been waiting for it to pop back up eventually because it's like. Who knows if they will, but it would be very cool. And it'd be cool. I'm not a huge Legends person. I know this because I looked it up as this was happening, and I know who Corran Horn is. But I really hope they bring him back.
Now, is there any names on there that we know from the Republic era? Like anybody survived? We know Quinlan survived. We know Doom survived, of course. Caleb Doom survived. But anybody else that we know from this era, or no? It's all like Legends, High Republic stuff.
There is I'm scrolling through to see if anybody is not from Legends, but most of them are from Legends, and they're just like deep cuts. I mean, the one that, again, it's from like Legends, but it's from the era that we know. Is a Padawan named Ekria. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it was Aayla Secura's Padawan.
Oh.
But the only thing that she's really been in that I know of is like these webcomic strips, but she was like a main character in it. And Ekria's carved in there, and there's a character named Drake Logan, Corwin Shelby. Yeah, these are all Legends names. So nobody that like we would know. That's an obvious one. The one that I think is most likely to show back up is not Halhorn, but like his son, even though he's not carved on the wall, because that's two references right there, and I think it makes sense.
Oh wow! And we knew something in Kenobi. That kid was like Force sensitive, so they even said he was Force sensitive. So it's. Yeah. I hope we see that. Is he in comics or like the books?
He's in the books mostly, but he's in comics. So he's in his first appearance. I know this because I was literally just talking to someone about this yesterday in a Discord group. It's like the series Star Wars X-Wing Rogue Squadron. There's like I think 35 comics in the late 90s, early 2000s. The number 26 he's in that one. That's his like first appearance. But his father, Halhorn, or Valen Halcyon, is his real name, is in more before that. And it's kind of ties into like a Thrawn storyline and like the like Imperial remnant. So like there's like a lot of space that it could be put in there in the current like shows, but I don't know, how that's gonna all play out.
Yeah, I want to learn more now. Like I'm so intrigued by this Horn character.
Yeah, it's me too. Like honestly, I can read the book. Like I haven't read the books, like so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm an expert. Like I would love to talk to somebody who is, but it's I would love to see them show up, and if it could be someone that like is involved with Luke in some way, that's even better.
Because we know that we go past this era after the Republic, after the Empire, and then we see Luke, and we don't know what Luke does. Like there's so much. I always talk about this on my show. Like I'm not a big Luke fan. Luke is not like my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
But like I like story. So if there's a story to Luke, there's definitely more to story to Luke because we don't get anything from Return of the Jedi until like probably the sequels. We don't see his story. We see it in The Mandalorian a little. We see that, but that's not really much.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of comics too, but yeah, you're right. Like we don't see much.
Yeah, like if they do a show, like I'm not even gonna like they could do a live action show of Luke Skywalker from after Return of the Jedi until Mandalorian to see what he does and see how many Jedi he trains, and even from his appearance in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba all the way to the sequels. Why is Luke on that planet? Why did Rey have to go find him? Like I think we need those kind of stories to fill in some gaps because a lot of people, to me, I don't read a lot of comics. Like I read the comics that I want to read.
Yeah.
I don't read the Darth Vader comics that have like 50 issues out right now. Like they're still going. I read the comics where Thrawn. I love Thrawn. Thrawn's my favorite villain in Star Wars. So
yeah, me too. Books. I love Thrawn.
Yeah. See, that's why me and you are friends.
Yeah.
That's why we and you are friends, and that's why I'm going to St. Louis. That's why I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm stepping up.
Well, no, but I agree with what you're saying about Luke because first off, I like Luke, but he's not been in all that much.
Yeah,
Star Wars, which is wild to say if you think about it. And unless you count book, he's been in a lot of books. To be
yes,
fair.
Of course.
I would love more than anything. If someone's you can pick one television show project, it would be between it'd be a New Republic Luke Jedi Order story to tell what you're talking about. But I would do it animated. Because then you don't have to worry about people complaining about whether or not it looks like Mark Hamill enough or if Mark Hamill's involved. It's no, just do it animated. Have Mark Hamill's a voice actor. Have him do the voice.
Yeah.
And then you can tie it in. You can show how he meets Ahsoka. You can show everything.
Everything.
You can show how Ben Solo showing up and their relationship and different things that happen. And because the one thing I think Luke needs. It was me personally, and I think this is why some of the sequels got some of the reaction that they did. As Luke needs his big hero moment beyond the Return of the Jedi. He needs. He's a legend, and he does a lot of great stuff. You'd think, and then he kind of does that in the sequels. He has his moment, but then it's but he never leaves the planet, so he's not actually there. It's a projection. So I would love to see him get big hero moments like they gave Anakin. in the Clone Wars.
And I think with Anakin, even with Anakin, I feel like they still haven't showed his whole story.
Right.
With Anakin, like even with Luke, like the two Skywalkers, that this is the Skywalker saga. Okay, where's the Skywalkers? Like I know we're tired of that. We're tired of this. We're tired of that. I feel like after Episode 9, when Rey said she was a Skywalker, everybody was done with the Skywalker era. But yes, true. Yes, we are done with it. We're finished. But if you bring back Anakin, like we saw in Ahsoka as a Force ghost, or the train Ahsoka, we're not that upset. Even with Luke, how did Luke meet Ahsoka? That's
I feel like we need to see that.
Yeah, like it's just throwing that at us. Like everybody's like, "Oh my God, does she know about Leia? Does she know about?" Of course, she probably does. But where we need to see that interaction, and I think the only way, like me, I'm biased. I'll always say that on my show. I don't know if you know, but like animation is like my Lord and Savior of the world of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I love animation. Anything live action is to me. Live action.
I love the idea of live action, but I end up liking animation more because there's more episodes and there's less limitations.
Yeah, like
and there's less complaining about the way something looks because the animation, especially now, with the Bad, it looks amazing. Like with the Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch looks like I'm in the movie theaters watching like a 2-hour movie or an hour and a half movie. It's like you're watching it for only 25 minutes, 27 minutes, but you're watching it and I'm just in awe. Like this is animation, what animation was back in 2006, I think, when the Clone Wars came out. And now you look at that now. Just imagine 2006 animation, like what we got in Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi in 2006. Like, what? That would be
it's incredible, and it's only going to get better. And if they can keep that same style that they know people like and put it into other eras, because I think they should always have at least one going. Like maybe they could take a little bit of a break if they feel like it needs a breather, but I think they should have one going that should be like a constant thing. And to me, the one that makes the most sense is the one that's the hardest to find actors for and a story that a lot of people want. And it's like the Luke between, like where we're at in Mandalorian, in Book of Boba, where we meet him, and the sequels, which I'm sure he'll be involved in the movies. Honestly, I bet you he's in either the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or the Dave Filoni, not really Heir to the Empire, but Heir to the Empire type movie with Ron.
Yeah.
I could see Luke being in that. But aside from that, what does he do? In that time?
He's just there for fun. There for fun.
Just supervising robots, building a temple.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting. And I think more importantly, I think a lot of people would think it's interesting. To me, the most interesting thing to me is what the hell was Thrawn doing? That's what I want to know. And where was Ahsoka during the original trilogy? Ahsoka, we're on the same page with characters. I love Ahsoka and I love Thrawn. I want to know, and I love Ezra, that whole storyline, and then the books, the book storyline with Thrawn with the Grisk. I want to know all that. That's what I'm most interested in. I think the biggest success in terms of an animation show, and the most logical one, is the Luke.
Yeah, I think if you because you could do Ahsoka's my favorite character, but in animation, Rosario Dawson, she does a great job. No knock to her, but animation, Ashley is my Ahsoka. Just with Thrawn. Thrawn, yes, he played a live action Thrawn, but if you look at it and you look at what we got in animation and live action, it feels like it's two different Thrawns. And it's if you watch their demeanor and how they are, it's Thrawn would know already that Anakin is the master of Ahsoka Tano. You would know, Thrawn would know that already. It's the little bits and pieces, it's oh, I don't even know who Sabine Wren is. Oh, who's that? Who? He was oh, I don't know who you are. I really don't care. But
well, he my only issue with Thrawn. So I agree that he would know, and he wouldn't be surprised about Anakin Skywalker, because he would have looked into Anakin Skywalker and noticed that. And
yeah, because he worked with him in the Clone Wars. No, not in the Clone Wars. He saw him in the Clone Wars, and then he worked with Vader, but he knew it was Anakin in the comics.
Yeah, and and which I just reread that book too, the Thrawn Alliances, and so he knows Anakin very well. He would have looked into Anakin and his what he did during the Clone Wars and why he's gone. But I was fine with him finding out on screen, because it was fun, and there's memes about it, which was good. But and funny videos. The one thing with the Thrawn thing that I hated, It's the like "Long live the Empire." That line at the end just annoyed me beyond belief. As someone who loves Thrawn, and it's not, and that's like not his real motivation, unless they're ignoring the books.
Yeah,
but I hope they explain that. I hope he's just trying to put out this like thing.
Right. Yeah, I think
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not saying like I hate it, they ruined anything. No, like it can still be great. I just want to see like
more.
Why was that said?
Yeah, and then like I think my dream project in Star Wars is a Thrawn animation. I would love to see Thrawn in animation again from the comics, and tell us. You could throw in little more bits and pieces of like you could tell us the book storyline, but you can also throw in some of your storyline. Like, okay, let's throw this in there and stuff like that. But with Thrawn, I want an animation show of Thrawn, and all his worked up. Okay, we saw him in Rebels. We don't have to see even that part again. We could just see it cut right through, or you could show that part but show a different side of it, and them going through hyperspace and see where they land. And remind you, Rebels is 5 years after Return. No, let me not say that because I'm gonna get confused on what I'm gonna say. So when Thrawn and Ezra jump to hyperspace, after that, and then the Ahsoka series, we haven't seen them in 5 years. What in that 5 years made Thrawn still have that ship? His night troopers, how does he get involved with the Night Sisters? And then after that, they go to Dathomir. What's important about Dathomir? How were you off the planet? Like, have you been not exiled? Have you been, because the Night Sisters got to you, how did they get to you if no one knows about this planet? Even Elsbeth too. How does she know that you're still on this planet if she knows? You know what I mean? So it's tricky there too. Like, how are you going to bring the Night Sisters all the way to your planet, Peridia, but you can get off the planet?
I think they were there.
Oh, you think they were there?
I think they were there because there was the Night Sister statues and they had their catacombs and stuff. I think those were there. We don't know why. My initial thought when I saw it was that the Night Sisters originated from there, and then they from Peridia. And then they long time ago, and that's why their force use is so weird. It's green and it's magic, as they call it. And they some stayed behind for whatever reason, and then they all went to Dathomir, and relocated. Because if you look at Dathomir, what's interesting about it is there's the Night Sisters, but then there's there's a bunch of people that live on Dathomir that are not Night Sisters. It's Maul. Is from there, and Savage, and so I think the Knights just took that over somehow, but a long time ago, and so they fled from whatever's on the planet. Maybe those other Night Sisters are essentially immortal and they live forever and they've been there forever, or maybe they were locked. Oh no, because Ezra said something like when he woke the Night Sisters or whatever, so they might have been in some sort of stasis or tomb or something.
It could have been. Because with Asajj Ventress coming back in the Bad Batch, that's a big one.
I love Asajj.
I love it. I think Ventress is one of my favorites.
I'm meeting the voice actress this weekend. Not to change the topic, but I'm meeting the voice actress. Oh, you are? Yeah.
I heard she's really nice. She's really nice in real life. She really is. But with her coming back, and then I don't know if you saw her interview when Nika Fetterman, I think that's her last name.
Futterman, I think.
Yeah. Something like that. She's a Fetterman. She did an interview and they asked her what's to come, or what they asked her something. They were we don't want to push it, but what can you tell us? She was well, seeing Asajj right now is just an appetizer. But what's to come,
I saw that, is
the main core. Something's coming. And to me, you could throw her in live action, but it would look weird unless she voices her, they get these voice actors that kill the voices. Ventress has such a unique voice. And to even with Thrawn, if Thrawn wasn't in live action, if Lars wasn't playing Thrawn, I wasn't watching the Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I'd
watch it, but I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have watched it, of course. I don't want to lie to myself. I would have watched it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I love Ahsoka, of course. I want to see more of her story. And Sabine I love too, and I love animation Sabine and animation Ezra all the way, not live action. I like the live action Ezra though, I do. But to see Thrawn not as that Thrawn, it's no, that's the killer right there. That's not the money maker, but you have that unique voice that he does, and it's amazing. It's like a James Bond voice. Like he wants your soul, but you listen to him to give it to you. You know, you listen to Thrawn.
Absolutely, his voice is amazing. It's the best part.
And even with Maul, like even Ray Park, like in the not the Solo movie, like they had to bring Sam Wittenworth in to do the voice. You know, because that's Maul to a T. You know what I mean? Like Ray Park wouldn't have done that voice, wouldn't have complied with that voice because he would just talk like me and you, or would have talked like a gremlin. You know, we don't want a gremlin. But with Ventress, it's just like that. Like it's such a unique, slitherly voice. Like it's like unique. And I think if you put her, and if you put her live action, you mess that up. You mess that voice up. Like because you're not gonna let Fetterman play her. You're not going to do that.
No, they don't. She doesn't look at it like that. You need someone like, and honestly, if it's going to be Sasha, someone needs to be like very athletic.
Yeah,
you know, because she's like wild and I think that is actually, you know, I told you that I think the thing that makes the most sense is the Luke animation show. I think the most likely is a Quinlan, like a story. Quinlan, well, they get in there. I think the most likely story could be about the path that they talk about in Kenobi. Of like how Jedi escaped for a couple reasons, right? You're getting Asajj back. She is like connected with Quinlan from Dark Disciple, the book. They were like together, and then she's coming back, so he's coming back. Like it has to, otherwise it'd be very weird. Also, in the Bad Batch, they had an episode with Gungi in it for essentially no reason. So it's like the Wookiee Jedi, which is badass. And it was awesome. I loved it. I'm not even hating, but it was great. And having Gungi there, but they showed that he was in captivity, and they showed the whole process and how horrible it was, and they got him escaping. And so you got Gungi, and you get the Kenobi talking about the path, referencing Quinlan. You get Asajj coming back, who's connected to Quinlan, and then you have Omega, which I don't know what it means that she has like with the blood in the midichlorians and how that is going to impact her. But let's just say like. That she ends up being force sensitive or being important in that way, even if she's not force sensitive, like she's valuable in that way. So, so she would need to be smuggled somewhere. Like it makes sense for her to go through the path that we see in Kenobi, and then it connects everything together. And I think that would be really cool. Personally, it's very like you have to do a lot of homework to know what's happening. You have to watch all the things. Yeah, you know, that's the one thing. But like, for me, as someone who does watch everything and reads everything, like I would love it.
I think that makes sense. Now, do you think, like with the Bad Batch, like do you think I feel like right now, you know, we have this clone uproar coming for the Bad Batch. We have that. We've seen it. We know it's coming somewhere or another. It's gonna happen. Will the Bad Batch survive? To me, they all will survive. I think maybe one of them will die. You know, but I don't think I'm
on the opposite. I think they all die.
Oh wow, damn, that's deep.
I think, I could be wrong. Like, I think if anyone survives, I think Crosshair's dead. Because I love Crosshair too. I think he's dying. It's his whole like he's in redemption, and he's gonna take it a step further and end up saving Omega, even though he's caused a lot of problems at the beginning. I think that would be very fun. But but I don't know that they'll survive, or we would have seen them. But I'm not saying that they won't either. I could also see Wrecker surviving for some reason because he acts like a kid, and I don't know if they'll want to kill him. But
we'll just leave the big kid alive.
But let's just say they all survive. Like, what do you think is going to happen with them?
What I think, if they all survive, I really think because someone has to start the path. You know, we just don't have a Harriet Tubman secret railroad and we don't know who started. I really think in reality, I think Rex and the clones do start it. Because I feel like right now the clones are concentrated on the clones. They're concentrated. But what about the Jedi? What about the generals they fought for? Wouldn't Rex know? Like, wouldn't Rex want to know where Ahsoka is at this time? We all know where they keep in contact with each other, of course. But and Ahsoka, I feel like would help Rex with the path.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And I think Bail Organa has a big thing about the path, too. I think Bail is involved in that, too. And I think some of the senators are, because we see that episode with Senator Tucci, and she helps the clones. But I feel like after that's all said and done, because it's going to be said and done, and we're not going to see it on TV. What the clones really get, they get retirement, they get a pension,
Yeah.
they get a week to Disneyland. We don't know what they get, but I feel like after that's all said and done, okay, what's to do? I don't think, to me, the clones are always bred for fighting, but after the fight is done, what do they do? So I think, to me, the clones do start the path with the Jedi. And I think hiding the Jedi, okay, how can we start it? How can we find, because there's some planets out there, just like this planet that we were on this past episode, The Return, the outpost is abandoned.
Yeah.
You could instantly start that planet right there with snow, control the beast, of course, control all that. But I really think that the clones do start the path because they look back on their generals. Okay, they see all this Jedi, even the Bad Batch, Gungi, they meet Asajj Ventress now. What does Asajj have to do with this? What is she coming in here for? What is her story? And we have a lot of other Jedi out there, the younglings, the younglings that we saw in the Clone Wars with Gungi. Did they survive? Pedro, or I don't know the other names.
Oh my gosh, what is the other one's name?
There's like Pedro, and then there's a couple girls.
There's the woman one. Yeah, the girl, and then there's the Ithorian that he might die. But yeah, I agree. Like we don't know where any of them are at, and I think they would be perfect candidates to be there. And also, it would give, like, I don't know their ages, but I feel like they'd be similar in age to Omega, like just in my head. Even if they're relatively in the same range, then like that could be, they talk constants like, you deserve to have a childhood and friends. And then they say it. Hunter says it constantly every time they get somewhere nice. They're like, isn't this great? Omega gets, we could sit down. Omega gets to play. Yeah, that could be who they're saving these children for, is to be like, these are going to be Omega's
friends, homies. And then I feel like with Omega, to me, the Bad Batch can't help her forever. They can't. Pabu, it's coming to a close. The Empire is coming to Pabu.
Yeah, right? We saw that in the trailer.
We saw that in the trailer. We see that, and who will save Omega now? And then it comes back to Asajj Ventress coming into the game. Does Asajj Ventress help them? What does she do? Because I feel like right now, is she a bounty hunter, or she's out there for vengeance? But to me, it really looks like she's a bounty hunter, just like Fennec Shand and Cad Bane. But in reality, wouldn't the Empire want her dead if she was a bounty hunter? You know what I mean? Because she's still a Jedi. She's still a Jedi Sith at this point.
Yeah, they would definitely want her dead. They would
want her dead. So, in my eyes, she can't really be a bounty hunter. She really can't, because the Empire hires the bounty hunters.
Yeah, she can't be.
She can't be, and she's force sensitive. So wouldn't Sidious be like, why is she still alive? Like, we thought she died. Like, that's Count Dooku's my old apprentice's apprentice. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, like, it has to make sense. Like, I hear a lot of people saying she's a bounty hunter, but how does that make sense if the Empire wants all the Jedi, even the Sith? Even if there's like a Sith out there, they still want him dead. Wouldn't have Vader showed up to kill?
Yeah, you can't just, like, Maul couldn't just be walking around doing whatever he wanted after Order 66.
After Order 66, Maul went somewhere. We haven't heard him. We haven't heard from him.
Yeah, he was on. That wasn't Exegol? What was that? Starts with an M. I can think of it. Malachor?
Malachor, yeah.
Yeah. He was there for some reason. I would love to know why. But, that would, they probably wouldn't want him dead too. Or they'd want to recruit him as an Inquisitor or something, but he's not going to do that.
He's like, he'll probably kill the Inquisitors. He'll probably, kill them all. But, yeah, so that's, my thing, too. She can't be a bounty hunter because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So what is her objective now because in reality, the Bad Batch know the Jedi are all extinct, or not really, but they see Gungi alive. They're like, okay, Gungi can stay here with the Wookiees, but the Wookiees are going to die. Where's Gungi now? Where's Gungi going to be now?
He's got to be dead or hidden. And I think there's going to be a hidden community, like you're saying, like a Pabu, but far away.
Yeah. Do they, we see the Ahsoka, they go outside, they need the whales to get there. But what happens if that was already created? Yeah. What happens if we're gonna see this sooner than Ahsoka? Because in reality, the Empire wants all the Jedi gone. You know, they find a Jedi, like they're hiding Force sensitive. They can't come out. You know, they were hiding. Ahsoka hid for years. You know, until the rebellion started, until she started with Bail. You know, Kanan didn't do anything until he was in his teenage years. You know, 15, 16 years. Ezra was a baby when he was born on Empire Day. When the Empire became the Empire, he was born. Like even the Asajj, like what did the Asajj Ventress do when after we saw her in season 5 of the Clone Wars?
Yeah, this story that we were talking about that could be in an animated show, like with Asajj, the path, it could answer so many of those questions. Like, but they'd have to have their own nemesis, like their own challenge, like that's not the Empire, because like most likely, because I think like what would be great, because we need to know where Ahsoka was too. Like, why wasn't Ahsoka, you know, helping Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy?
That's like my question for everything. Like, why, like with Kanan alive, Ezra alive, Ahsoka alive, why are they not going to face Vader? You know,
I think they're going to be off doing something different. Like with this concept of like, okay, there's going to be a path, they're going to take them somewhere. Like, let's just say they take them to the unknown regions, and there is a threat out there, which could tie in to like the Grisk. Which every time, you know, I want to tie that into everything because I'm fascinated by them, but like, let's, you know, humor me here. Like, they go to the unknown regions. They find a planet. This planet's the best. The Empire has no reach out here. Let's hang out. And then there's these, you know, this threat from, you know, that's coming through. That's either trying to come after the Empire or that's just trying to take over everyone. And they end up getting involved. And that's where Ahsoka is. You know, that's where all of these survivors that we want to have alive, they either are alive or we want to have alive afterwards. It could be potentially where Grogu's at too, but
yeah, because is Grogu alive by the rise of Skywalker? You know, what is Grogu doing in that time? You know, you're gonna have these movies with like,
they're not killing Grogu. He's got to be alive.
Yeah, you're not gonna kill him. He'll probably be like, but I'm tired. Like I said to I think I said to another person, like I'm tired. Like Grogu was one of my favorite characters. He was, but now he's tired out with me. Like
I still love him.
Of course, I still love him. That's like my green little booger thing.
Yeah.
But like his story is getting like repetitive. You know, when is he going to become like badass, start swinging a lightsaber or the dark saber around? And like,
I agree. Like, he needs to get older, and we need to know more about him. And that's been a problem with the shows for a couple of years, I think now. Like Ahsoka, if we talk about Ahsoka, I love Ahsoka the character. I love Rebels. I love Thrawn. I liked the show. Like, don't get me wrong. But like, there's like a lot of the show that I felt was missing was like, it felt like everything was getting like pushed along. Like, you're going to find out what's happening, or you're going to find out what happened like with Thrawn and Ezra. Who are these like marauders on this planet that are fighting them? Who was Merrick at first? You know, it's like, oh, how does Morgan Elsbeth, like, why does Morgan Elsbeth not look like a Night Sister? You know, but she's completely badass. And then who are these other Night Sisters and so like, and then you don't get to hear Sabine and Ezra talk. I still I loved the Ahsoka Anakin stuff. I loved seeing Thrawn live action. I thought the shots of the Chimera were amazing. The ship, I thought they did a great, and Balin and Shin were great. But like, I felt like we missed like a lot of like description, and I feel like the same thing has happened. It happened in the Mandalorian season 3, which is why it was less popular than the previous 2, and in the Book of Boba Fett, because they did a great job explaining the Tusken situation. But then it's like not a lot happened after that, you know? And I think they could do, I think it would be better. The shows would have a little bit better reception if they had more like 2-minute conversations explaining what happened, even if it's just to tell the audience, like, you know, it's like explaining, okay, so that, you know, this is where I've been and this is what I've been doing and this is why we're here. Because we still, like, you get to the end of Ahsoka and like, you really don't know a lot. You know, know that
we're so
Ahsoka,
lost.
You know, like what's happening, and then we have to wait like 3 or 4 years. But so I agree. Like, we need to find more. There's like Kelleran Beck saves Grogu, very cool. Like, the whole situation's cool. Now what? Sounds like Grogu's going to Naboo, based on, like, it looks like it based on the ship that they got on.
And even like, even with when the Naboo people came, but now how did the Naboo people get involved?
Jar Jar.
You know, maybe
because it's Kelleran Beck. I guarantee Jar Jar's coming back. which I welcome. I like, dude.
I like Jar Jar.
The Phantom Menace was wasn't my first Star Wars movie that I watched in the theater. I watched like a re-release of Empire Strikes Back, but like it was my first new Star Wars movie. And I remember I was like 10 when it came out. And I was maybe 9. Either way, I was so excited. I love Jar Jar. Like I was like 10 years old is the perfect age to first experience Jar Jar Binks.
I think Jar Jar Binks is a character that like we love, but some people hate him. I don't know.
Some people hate him. That's why I always talk about loving him, because I want people to know that people like me exist. Because like I think he's an important character for the movie. I think the movie would be much more boring without him, and not because of the silly the animal at the pod racing thing farts at him and he's like, oh, how rude. That's dumb, of course. But like the characters explain things to him, which then allows the audience to hear it because he's dumb. So he'll be like, now I know what's going on. I'm like, we need to do this, Jar Jar. And he'll be like, oh, okay. And then the audience knows then. And I feel like some of that's missing in some of the shows.
I think with Jar Jar, like that would tie into Naboo, Padme too in that time when Order 66, because we have to realize in Revenge of the Sith, a deleted scene, they had a plan after if Palpatine was going to more heights. They had a rebellion, so whatever that rebellion was, I hope we get a conversation or meaningful to that. We only get a deleted scene that is like maybe 2 minutes. I don't know how long the deleted scene was, but you can look that up on YouTube.
You talking about the one where they're sitting in the room?
And Revenge of the Sith. And that didn't make it to theaters. So what was that like? What is that being talked about? How long was that going on for? How long from that talk was Order 66 and this and that? How do we know Naboo was going to get involved? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because how does Naboo starships just show up in the Order 66? Like, how does that happen? Like, does someone call them? Is someone like hiding and calling them? Like, oh my God, they're killing us. And like, we need your help, Like, what is so important? Even what's so important about Grogu?
Yeah, and what's so important about Keller and Beck, too, that he can, like, command these people that he has no command over. Exactly, like, because they could have been there to pick up Padme, but she wasn't there, But, like, no, she took her ship elsewhere. But I agree.
Like, what is going on? Like, now you get Kellen back, and then he's bye-bye. Like,
yeah, he'll be back. Did you see his like Ahmed Best's like post? Yeah, of him with the CGI suit or whatever.
I think
I don't know what it is.
I think it's actually going to become Jar Jar.
I hope so. I think because we need to see Jar Jar again, and just to see what he's been in, like, especially if it's going to be a flashback. I feel like it has to be. Grogu had to, like, Jar Jar has to be involved because it's not going to be Padme. Obviously, she was preoccupied during this situation, and then like Jar Jar is the only other than Palpatine person from Naboo that's significant that we really know. I mean, other than there's some handful of side characters, but they're not going to be, they're not like big names like Captain Panaka or whatever.
And Padme's handmaidens, they're big in the comics. Like one of them is big in the comics, but I don't know if you want to bring that into live action or whatever you want to bring. Yeah,
she's almost too big in the comics. That whole thing was interesting at first, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, why is not Darth Vader just not killing her? Because she keeps ruining all of his things, and he's just like, you look like Padme. I'm not gonna hurt you. Yeah, it's like okay, I understand that like once, but it's Darth Vader. Like at a certain point, like he's gonna kill you. Like you're not Padme, and he knows that.
Yeah, and we know what happens to him. You're not gonna kill him. We know that.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna ask you, Ryan, what is your dream Star Wars project? It could be live action or it can be animation. I know we talked about what we want to see, but what is if Lucasfilm came to you and said, Drunk Wookie, Ryan, what would you like to see out of us? It can go animation, it can go live action, but you get to pick the storyline. It could be even your own character if you want. Like it could just be a made up character that you come up with, and that's it. But what is your dream Star Wars project?
Probably. Okay, so there's a couple. I mean, they're like the path thing that we talked about. I want to see like a separate track of stories that happen alongside the original trilogy. So like the Path and Jedi that made it out, and then having their own kind of story and what they become, I think would be amazing. Also, like I want to see a High Republic animated show, like because I'm a big High Republic fan. There's a lot of like aliens that are main characters that are big characters in it that'd be difficult to do in live action, especially with their like real commitment to trying to make things as practical as possible, which really limits. Like if you look at the Book of Boba Fett, when those Trandoshans attack Black Chrysanthemum, like the Wookiee, like they just kind of jump on him because they wanted to make him look just like Bosk in the original trilogy. So it's just like a big costume and you can't really move well in it. But I think an animated High Republic show would be amazing. And then a kind of like where Ahsoka was, where Thrawn was, like where all of the people that are not in the original trilogy but were alive, like what were they doing? So I would love to see, like, if you wanted, like, so you talked about an animated Thrawn film, animated Thrawn show. What would be very interesting to me is Thrawn on Peridia, dealing with Ezra, dealing with that situation, ruling, but then having, like, reflections, because he can't go anywhere, like, reflecting on things that have happened, like, in the books and in the past. So, like, it could be Chiss ascendancy stuff from the Chiss, you know, like, because I want to see the Grist stuff play out, which I've mentioned a handful of times. But like you could do like a flashback to him and Aralani, dealing with that situation with all these different planets and like from like Chaos Rising and I think that would be amazing. And you could do that, and then you could jump back to showing things that happened in Thrawn alliances and Thrawn treason, and him working with Darth Vader, what's in the comics now, what's in the book, and having that kind of shown. I don't know how you would do it in a way that's not like okay, again, we're going to a flashback where it's still pushing a normal story forward. But I think that would be amazing. But I just want more, honestly, more High Republic and more Thrawn and more hidden Jedi.
I agree with all that. I agree. But my most important thing is Nubs. Nubs Nation here. Nubs Nation here.
Let's go.
Okay.
I have like 4 Nubs stuffed animals for my kids that we got at Disney World and gifts. We have Legos. We have Nubs. We have Nubs gear in this house.
There you go. That's what I like to see. That's what
that show's been fun. Like I think it's really well made. It looks great.
It does.
It's clearly for kids, which I think is smart. Like they should do something like that. Like anybody that's complaining that it's like, oh wow, this is child. It's because it's for truly kids. Like you can say the Clone Wars is for kids, but it's like, or the Bad Batch, like it's not really. Like it's not for kids can watch it. My kids watch the Bad Batch, but it's not really for them. But this is, it's for 3-year-olds.
Yeah, Nubs Nation, people, Nubs Nation.
But going back, Nubs Nation.
There you go, Ryan. The Drunk Wookiees, Nubs Nation, guys. We got them on our team. But going back to what you were saying, now I've always said on this show, there's something more than the Empire and the Imperials. There's something more coming that we don't know. I don't know what's coming from Star Wars, but I don't think it's the Empire or the First Order. I think there's something more dark and sinister coming.
You're talking about moving forward?
To me, even when Anakin is a Force ghost to Ahsoka at the end of Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, something crazy is coming.
Something is up, because Anakin usually at the Return of the Jedi, he was like, yeah. and Ahsoka's I feel like the Force ghosts know, they know something's coming. They're not going to tell you that something's coming, but they're going to warn you okay, your training is not done yet. What did Anakin have to come back to Ahsoka to train for? Because it's not just fan service at that point. We of course everybody wanted to see that in live action. I want to see an animation. I want to see Ahsoka and Anakin in animation, them talking to each other through the Force, or her first appearance with Anakin as a Force ghost, in live action, have Ashley and Matt back together, because their dynamic is so
that would be great.
I would cry. Live action, I didn't cry. I was like, let me get over myself. This is just fan service. But to me, that scene, what is Anakin training Ahsoka for? It's not just because of let go of her past, let go of this. It's something more, because at the end you could see her feeling for him and then him feeling for her. And at the end you see the Force Ghost, and the Force Ghost is not happy. Like Return of the Jedi, we saw, like I said, it was cheering it on. Like, yeah, the war's over. Yeah, I'm so excited.
He's focused.
Yeah, now he's focused in this one.
And also, there's a little satisfaction in there with like how that she was interacting with Sabine now. But I think like how Ahsoka's, she seemed happy.
And then we want that. And then sorry to cut you off. Before we get to what you're saying, we need a storyline of how Sabine became a Jedi.
100%. I get that anyone can use the Force. I still think that was a little much with how much she used the Force after not being able to use it. Like someone just turned the faucet on. Yeah. But I don't care. It was fun. So I'm fine with it or whatever. I do. I agree. There's gonna be something big. First off, if you think about it, my biggest issue with the sequel trilogy, total, I enjoy it. I'm not like someone who hates it, but I do have issues with it. My main issue with the sequel trilogy is that it was like the original trilogy 2.0. Every movie had very similar, it was supposed to mimic them, which is fine, and I think they looked beautiful. But you can't have a third empire, in a Rey movie moving forward, or anything that moves forward. You can't have these other soldiers from the same, it has to be an outside invader or a smaller focused story, and there's some weird Force user that shows up. But I think something has to come, and I think there's going to be something, whether this is Dawn of the Jedi type stuff with the Dawn of the Jedi movie, or what I think because there's been 2 mentions of civilizations. There's been a lot of the Zepho, which are from the Fallen Order games, and then they were in there's statues all over the place in Ahsoka of Zepho. There was the Zepho machine beast thing in Bad Batch season 2. That episode that was really weird, and they had all these puzzles. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, that big beast, of a machine that's the size of buildings, that had the Zepho look. And then you have in Andor, the Sky Kyber crystal that Luthen gives Cassian. That's from the the Rakuten invaders from the past. I don't know if those civilizations still exist, if they're extinct and they're gone, but I feel like there's been enough mentions of that for that to be they have to be in something. Yeah. Other than statues that you see.
And I think going back to what you were saying also about the Chiss ascendancy, we need to see the Chiss ascendancy. Yeah. We need to see Arlani. We need to see her. Where is she now?
We need Levanto. We need Arlani. We need to see the Skywalker children, the navigators. And we need to figure out, we need resolution to the Grisk stuff, because it's one thing to be that's the Chiss's problem, but it's not, because in the movies, they're in Imperial space causing issues, stealing Death Star parts, and treason. So, and that's the whole thing. So a lot of people, here's the thing, a lot of people say, Thrawn in Rebels, they're well, he's a straight villain. Well, he is more than he is in the book, sure, but, when he bombs Lothal, for example, in the books, Thrawn treason, if you haven't read it, sorry, but in Thrawn treason, at the end of that book, he just squashes the Grisk stealing all of these Death Star parts and trying to delay the Death Star from being created, which means they're going to invade at some point. But he didn't take them over. He just he doesn't defeat them completely. He just defeats this little group that came. The very next, and then Arlani at the very end of that says something well, by the time you're ready to help us, hopefully there's still there's still an ascendancy left to help. We're in, basically saying they're winning. This is bad. And then the very next week in the timeline, he goes to Lothal and is Palpatine basically said at the very beginning of the Canon Throne books, if you help me, you have to help me destroy basically, if you help me destroy the rebels, then I'll help you. So then he's Thrawn, angry, worried about his people dying, comes to the city and sees, it's all right, I'm going to, I need to kill all of these people. I need to end this today. And then he doesn't, because he gets purgled.
And then with Sidious, then in reality, did Sidious keep his promise to the Chiss ascendancy?
Potentially, but Thrawn didn't do it. Didn't really finish the job for him. But you never know. That could be something that we don't see. It could also be something that the First Order do, because the First Order come out of With the Gris would have came in as soon as the war was over because the New Republic was weak. We've seen that, it's weak and they're. So you think they would be involved because they're like waiting because they've been involved since like Dooku. The Gris have been involved in the story, but oh man, I was my train of thought. But the First Order in Wild Space, they're like in like the unknown regions. That's where they rise up from, right? And I could see like why does it take them so long to rise up? Well, they need to build stuff and they need to get the. But what how do they have all the people that they have? Where did all these people come from? Where did all these people that are like building these, I don't know, hundreds of Star Destroyers from? And it could be the fact that they, helped defeat the Grisk and the people around there are all kind of filling in, in those planets. But who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We don't know anything. We're just spitballing right now.
We're just spitballing. With the Thrawn comics coming out and me rereading the book, that's like top of mind for me. That's like what I want to know. If I know anything. But it can be because
I've read the Thrawn. I've read all the Thrawn books, but I like to see the pictures. Like I like.
Yeah, the next issue, Star Wars Thrawn Alliances 3, that comes out in April, should have the very first depiction of the Grisk ever. Like
number 4, right? Thrawn
it should be. It's based on the chapters they fight. And it should be 3. Like it could have been 2. Like so, Thrawn or Vader and Thrawn should confront or really Vader. Thrawn will be in space, but Vader and the First Legion Stormtroopers should confront a bunch of Grisk in this next one.
Oh, okay.
Because like in the book, I looked into it because I was trying to figure it out. It's like chapter 11, I think, and so that's like a little over halfway through the book. So it should be in that one, unless they like. It's only 4 comic issues, which is wild to me for a book. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it should be in the 3rd one.
Yeah, they should have did like 6 or like.
Yeah, that's what they did for all of the other ones, like all of them for the Thrawn books, including Heir to the Empire.
They should have did more. They should have did more than just 4. They should have did like 5. They should have did like 7.
And they should stop doing the TV show comics. I don't I guess those are fine, but people don't really like them. For my
yeah, that's all right though. I like them. I think so. I just get anything with that anything like with my favorite character, like Ahsoka and Sabine are on the cover. With the Thrawn Alliances, I already pre-ordered that one.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, but like the other ones with Captain Pinnock on it, like we don't really want that.
Yeah, and there's oddly enough, there's gonna be like a Luminara and like Barriss cover.
Oh yeah,
and then a Plo Koon and Boltar Swan, which is his Padawan.
Oh wow,
which is a deep cut.
Yeah, because we don't know if he survived Order 66 either.
No.
So
we also don't know how we also don't know how old some of these people are, and so it'd be cool if one of them survived. And Barriss is still running around out there somewhere. So
she is too. She's the one that we can see in animation too, sometime or live action, whatever.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna lose my. I love the concept. Barriss in the Clone Wars was fun, but it's not cool enough to be like one of my favorite characters. But the situation is one of my favorite unresolved situations.
Yeah, but Ryan, I'm sorry, but we have to end the Tonight Show.
All right. All right. It was good talking to you. That went much faster than I expected. I had a lot of fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, Drunk Wookie. Now, before we go, where can everybody find you on the social meteors?
You can look at the picture that's right there at Drunk Wookie on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever, and Threads. There's also drunkwookie.com. I have a website where I talk about comics and books, mostly. Sometimes other things, but if you like that, follow me. I'll share pictures of all the new things that are coming out,
and a picture of us.
And a picture of us. I'll share a picture of us. I'll put this up on the website too. I'll embed it and share it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. Your first ever appearance of podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Give it up for the Drunk Wookie. He's not just drunk; he's a Wookie. You're welcome. But come back anytime. You're always welcome on my show. Anytime. You can even hit me up and tell me, Chris, let's do an episode. I'm down. I'm down to do it. Anything. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for everybody that joined us at home watching. Because you can't be here watching with us. Then that's really live. I'll be like, what? You're here watching with us? Thank you. That would be weird. But thank you for watching us at home, guys. Thank you to Ryan, the Drunk Wookie. You can follow him. I will put all the links in the description to go follow him. Check him out. Threads, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, TikTok, whatever he's got going on, I will put in the link in the bio. Thank you again, Ryan. Guys, be kind to one another. Make sure you guys subscribe down below to the YouTube channel, The Scevoli Show, for more Tonight Show. We love the Tonight Show, guys. I'm like Jimmy Fallon. I'm not Oprah. I can't give you people gifts. I'm sorry. I can't give you people gifts. But I can give you one thing. The force and hope that things will get better. It will. It will. But be kind to one another, guys, and may the fools be with you, my friends. Always. Bye!
In my life, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what.